To understand why this man died with his own dagger at his throat, you have to understand the single brilliant lie he told to start a world war. His name is Petyr Baelish, everyone calls him Littlefinger, and he is about to do something almost no other player in this game ever manages. He's going to kill the most honourable man in Westeros without ever drawing a sword. No army, no poison, no open declaration of war. Just one lie, placed so perfectly that the victim thanks him for his help, right up until the knife is at his throat. And here is the thread that runs through this entire story, the thing you have to hold on to. Ned Stark's greatest strength is also the exact weapon that kills him. His honour, his decency, his unshakable belief that other men think the way he does. Watch how that single flaw gets exploited over and over until it finally gets him executed.
You must be gone by then. You and your children. I will not have their blood on my hands.
It's the same flaw that makes him warn Cersei to flee before he moves against her because his conscience won't let him strike at a woman and her children without giving them a chance. It's the same flaw that makes him trust a signed piece of paper over a hidden blade. Every time Ned faces a choice between the honourable move and the smart move, he chooses honour. And every time, a player who thinks in terms of survival is standing right behind him, waiting to turn that honour into a noose. Littlefinger understood this about Ned better than Ned understood it about himself. He never had to outsmart Ned, he just had to let Ned be Ned. Because the lie that kills Ned doesn't happen in the throne room, it happens much earlier, and it starts with a knife.
You're not supposed to be here. It's a mercy. He's dead already.
When an assassin tries to murder a comatose Bran Stark, the weapon left behind is a beautiful Valyrian steel blade, far too fine for a common cutthroat. Catelyn Stark carries it to King's Landing to find out who wanted her son dead, and she brings it to the one man she's sure she can trust, the boy she grew up with, Littlefinger.
There's only one dagger like this in all of the Seven Kingdoms. It's mine.
Yours?
He turns the blade over in his hands, and he tells her it belongs to Tyrion Lannister. That's the lie. One sentence. And from it, an entire war grows. Now look closely, because the lie should never have worked. Littlefinger says Tyrion won the dagger betting against his own brother Jaime. Think about that for 1 second. Tyrion betting against Jaime. Never happens. He worships him. The story falls apart on contact.
I know they did it, Ned. The Lannisters in my bones, I know it.
So why does Catelyn swallow it whole? Because Littlefinger isn't selling a fact. He's exploiting a fear. First, confirmation bias. Catelyn already suspects the Lannisters because her sister sent her a letter blaming them for murder. What she doesn't know is that Littlefinger arranged that letter too. He preloaded her with terror, then simply pointed at a target. He didn't have to convince her of anything. Then comes the masterstroke. When Littlefinger calls Tyrion a gambler, Varys casually agrees, and Varys is telling the truth, Tyrion does gamble. But that one honest detail, dropped at that exact moment, makes the whole lie feel verified. He weaponized another man's honesty.
This man came into my house as a guest, and there conspired to murder my son. In the name of King Robert, seize him.
And it detonates. Catelyn arrests Tyrion on the road, and the fuse is lit. The Starks have taken a Lannister captive. That means war. Jaime retaliates, attacks Ned in the streets, wounds him, isolates him.
Come, Stark. I'd rather you die sword in hand.
Every domino is falling, and Ned is standing right in the path, and he doesn't even know it. Littlefinger didn't fire a single arrow. He just handed a frightened mother a name. But now, the real question, the one most people get wrong. Why did Littlefinger actually need Ned dead? The lazy answer is, he loves chaos. Forget that. There's something colder underneath, and once you see it, the betrayal stops looking like a game and starts looking like survival. Here is the terrifying reality. Ned's honor was about to get Littlefinger killed. When King Robert lay dying, the throne legally fell to his brother Stannis.
He is the rightful heir. Nothing can change that.
To Ned, backing Stannis was simply right. To Littlefinger, it was a noose tightening in real time. Picture it from inside his head. Stannis isn't a politician you can charm or buy. He's an auditor with a grudge against corruption.
I'm telling you, the crown is 6 million in debt.
The day he takes the throne, he opens the ledgers. And the moment he opens the ledgers, he finds it. Years of Littlefinger quietly siphoning the crown's gold into his own pocket. No bribe fixes that. No clever word talks his way out. Stannis would strip him of everything and mount his head on the walls of the Red Keep. So in that room, while Ned is calmly talking about duty and rightful heirs, Littlefinger is doing cold arithmetic. Stannis means exposure. Exposure means death. And there is exactly one way off this ladder before it collapses under him. Ned cannot win. Ned didn't just back the wrong horse. He unknowingly signed Baelish's death warrant. And a cornered survivor doesn't agonize over murder. He simply removes the threat. Ned chose Stannis because it was honorable, once more walking straight toward his own grave. Now, before the kill, I want you to notice something, because this is what makes Littlefinger terrifying compared to everyone else on the board. Look at the other so-called great players. Robb Stark wins every battle on the field, raises an army, and dies screaming at a wedding, undone by a single broken promise. Tywin Lannister rules through fear, spends a fortune, burns the Riverlands, and ends up shot on a privy by his own son. Even Cersei, who actually wins this round, has to buy a corrupt commander, stage a public execution, and start a war she can barely control. The loud players, the ones who command armies and shout orders, all eventually get buried by the chaos they create. Littlefinger does the opposite. No banners, no battles, no blood on his own hands. He topples the most powerful family in the north with a whisper and a borrowed knife, and walks away clean, richer, and more trusted than before. That is why his strategy is the most dangerous one in the entire series. The others spend men and gold to win. Littlefinger spends only the truth, bent just slightly out of shape. The others fight the game, he rewrites it. And if you're the kind of person who'd rather understand the quiet player rewriting the board than the loud one losing on it, subscribe, because that's exactly the lens I bring to every breakdown on this channel. Because that same bent truth, the borrowed knife, the whisper instead of the sword, is about to be turned on Ned one final time. In the throne room, Ned holds Robert's signed decree naming him protector of the realm. Legally, he has the power. What he doesn't have is muscle. To arrest Cersei, he needs the City Watch, 2,000 gold cloaks. So he asks Littlefinger to buy their loyalty. And Littlefinger smiles and promises he will. That's the lie. Because the gold cloaks are already bought by the Lannisters. Littlefinger lets Ned believe the trap is his to spring, when the trap has been built around Ned the whole time. Ned gives the order, seize the Queen.
I want no bloodshed. Tell your men to lay down their swords. No one needs to die.
And the gold cloaks turn on him. As the gold cloaks slaughter Ned's men, Littlefinger presses Ned's own dagger to his throat and whispers, "I did warn you not to trust me." And the most sickening part, he wasn't lying. He had already warned Ned of his treachery out loud to his face. So why did Ned walk into the trap? Because Ned projected his own pure heart onto a monster. He believed that Littlefinger's childhood love for Catelyn guaranteed his loyalty. But Ned had it devastatingly backwards. Littlefinger didn't spare Ned because of Catelyn, he destroyed him because of her. Decades ago, Littlefinger was nearly killed in a duel for Catelyn's hand, only to be rejected for a Stark. That rejection festered into a toxic, calcified resentment. Betraying Ned wasn't just business, it was pure, unadulterated revenge. Ned's faith in love was the exact thing that got him killed. And this is the whole philosophy in one image. Littlefinger believes chaos isn't something to fear. Chaos is a ladder. You create confusion and fear among people bound by rules. Then you climb over them while they're still trying to understand what happened. Ned was a rung. A good man, reduced to a stepping stone, precisely because his honor made him predictable, and predictable people are the easiest of all to kill. Think about how cleanly it worked. Littlefinger never lied about being a liar. He told Catelyn the dagger pointed to the Lannisters. He told Ned not to trust him. He warned everyone what he was, out in the open, every step of the way. His genius wasn't deception. It was understanding that honorable people refuse to believe a warning the ugly. They assume there must be good underneath. And that assumption, that tiny, decent assumption, is the gap he slips the knife through every single time. But ladders only go so high. Years later, in the Great Hall of Winterfell, the surviving children of Ned Stark recite Littlefinger's crimes back to him. The dagger, the letters, the betrayals, every lie laid bare. And Arya Stark slides a blade across his throat, the exact same way he once held one to her father's. The man who killed Ned Stark with a single lie died because of all the lies he could never stop telling. He spent his whole life certain he was the one holding the knife, and in the end, he learned the same thing Ned learned in that throne room. No one stays at the top of the ladder forever.